Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and here on my channel we are all about real makeup for real life and real people. If you are new here, a very special welcome to you. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you like what you see today. It'll help you find my videos more easily on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And here on my channel, we're just about having fun with our makeup and learning together along the way. Today's a part of my ranking series, and we're going to be ranking my bronzers today. I did decide to go ahead and rank creams and powders separately to kind of break down the groups a little bit, and I also just don't feel like it's fair within my own brain and my own mind palace of makeup to rank creams against powders. They kind of fit different purposes for me within my routine. So let's go ahead and start with my cream bronzers. I do have 7 cream bronzers, so starting out with number 7, it is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Makeup Stick Contour in the shade Wears Walnut. I do really like this shade. I like the formula and everything. It's just one that I don't tend to reach for because I have so many other beautiful things in my collection as well. But I do really like this one. It's a nice shade, and somebody has to come in last place, right? So coming in at number 6 is the Tower 28 Bronzino Illuminating Bronzer. This is very, very shimmery, as you'll be able to see on the back of my hand. It is beautiful applied, but I'm still figuring this one out. And in terms of like ease of use and things like that, this one falls where it does because the other products I've had more time and whatnot to work with them. This was a bronzer that I really didn't feel like using over the winter. Super shimmery or illuminating bronzers like this are really more of a summer thing for me, summer, fall. So I'll definitely get more use out of it. I do think it's a nice product. I just haven't figured out how I best like to use it and things like that. Coming in at number 5 is my Soul Face and Body Bronzing Balm. And I really like this. It does have a very faint coconut smell. This is the shade right here. It blends really beautifully into my skin. I was really surprised. I actually saw this on Samantha March's channel, and if you're familiar with her, she doesn't use a ton of cream products, but I remember when she used this on her channel the first time, and she was so blown away by how easy it was to use. She instantly liked it. I was like, well, if she likes it and she's not into creams, I will probably love it. And I do. I love the packaging on this. It's very nice. It's big enough that if your preferred method is a sponge, that is not going to be a problem. So I do really like this one. It comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is a little mini that I really love. And I really like the shade on this one the best out of all of my cream bronzers, and that is the Tarte C Breezy Cream Bronzer. Like I said, this is the mini, and it comes in only one shade, which is Seychelles. I believe there's a couple shades in the full size, but this is plenty of product for me, and this is the shade. It has a little bit of a rosy tone to it, which I actually really love in a bronzer, especially a cream bronzer. I find like those rosy to red undertones and bronzers are really flattering on my skin and look more natural and more like how my skin looks if I would get sun. So I do really love this one. I don't mind that it's a mini, but it is a little harder to get a sponge in here, so something of note. Coming in at number 3 is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand. I do really enjoy this product. I do enjoy the color. It is a little bit more cool tone, but I find when you blend it out, you can actually see the warmth come through, so that's really cool. My only gripe with this is like the packaging. When you go to squeeze this for the first time to, put out the product, it feels like half of it was air. So that's not my favorite thing, and I'm kind of starting to feel that way in general about some Charlotte Tilbury products. But this is a fantastic product. It looks super duper natural on the skin, and I don't know, I really love this, but it is one that I might consider trying to pan this year. I have had this for some time, and in general, stuff like this that just ticks me off when I see it because of the lack of product or whatever, I just kind of like to use them up and move them out, and then I can look into my drawers and feel, you know, happy about what I'm seeing there. Coming in at number 2, the top 2 were really hard to decide which would go where, but ultimately for number 2, I decided on my Huda Beauty Tantour Contour and Bronzer Cream. I have the shade Fair, and it is, you know, it's definitely there. It's definitely pigmented. The thing I really liked about this one as well as the next one is that these are really, really long wearing products, and they're really easy to apply. Again, I love that this is big enough that if I want to apply with my sponge, I can do it that way, or else with a brush. And I love it. I love the color of this. This is super duper long lasting. This has no discernible scent. The only one out of these that I'm mentioning in the cream bronzers that is scented is the Soul Face and Body Bronzing Balm. But I do love this Huda Beauty Contour and Bronzing Cream. Also wanted to mention that out of all of these, besides the first one as well, have a really good shade range in terms of something that could work for any skin tone. If this is fair, you can anticipate that the rest of the shades just get darker and darker. But ultimately, my number 1 cream bronzer right now is my Fenty Beauty Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Bronzer in the shade Butta Biscuit. And you do have to say it that way. And I love this, and I think I'm currently in love with it the most because I'm working on it in a project pan. This is the shade right here. And it looks really light, but it's beautifully buildable. This is very long lasting. I believe Fenty claimed that this was waterproof. I've not tested that because I don't wear makeup in the water, but I'm really, really enjoying this. I'm trying to hit pan on this in my Partners in Cream project, which I can link below for you. But this is just so incredibly easy to use, even more so than the Huda Beauty one. And just because I don't have to be as careful with this one, I specifically picked a lighter shade because I know this is buildable. And so it works for me all year long, which I think is fabulous. Again, it works beautifully with a sponge or a brush. I kind of go back and forth between the two. Today I used a brush. I have this on today, but I have a powder bronzer on top. And I used the Ultimate Blending Brush from e.l.f. to apply it today. Like I said, I like it any old way. My only gripe with any of these that are in compacts is that they can get really kind of gross looking because of fuzz, or if you have animals, fur kind of getting into the cream. But it is what it is. If it really bugs you, how I take care of that is with little tweezers, and I'll pull the little hairs out and then I'll tap down the product with my finger. So there you go. All 7 of the cream bronzers. So for powder bronzers, I have 21. I'm working on 1 powder bronzer currently in a project. And coming in at number 21 is just because I already have this shade of bronzer in a couple of palettes. I really didn't need this single, but it was the Sephora birthday gift for the year. It is the NARS bronzing powder in Laguna. This is so cute, guys. It's eyeshadow size. I should really just pan this sucker and call it a day. Like I said, it was the birthday gift, and I always kind of like going with the makeup-y birthday gift versus skincare or what have you. Coming in at number 20 is one that I've had a long time and been tempted to get rid of so many times, but I do like the bronzer, but I don't like the highlight that's in this duo. It's the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow Mini. And I just don't like this highlighter. It's kind of dark. It's almost like, brassy to me. And so I'm not a big fan of the highlighter, but I do really like this reddish tone of bronzer from Natasha Denona. So I don't know, we'll see. I've been tempted to buy the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow palette, but if it has that highlighter in there, I definitely wouldn't. So that's why it comes in at number 20. Number 19 is one that I really haven't figured out yet. Part of me is like, this is more like a blush for me. Part of me, you know, I don't know. It is the Pixie Beauty Bronzer in the shade Subtly Sun Touched. It's very soft and kind of creamy in the pan, but I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting shade for a bronzer. So I'm not sure. I do need to pull this in at some point to a Shop My Stash or something so that I can, you know, figure it out. Coming in at number 18, and I hate to put this down where it is, but hear me out. It is the Ofra by Samantha March Bronzer Duo in River. It's super messy. Every time I touch my brush in there ever so gently, tons of kick up in the pan, like ridiculous amounts of kick up in the pan. And I don't know. I don't even know if this is like the right tone for me as a bronzer. My hands are so dry, so these swatches are gonna be kind of crap. But I feel like this bronzer is a little bit kind of yellowy, maybe even verging on orangey, which we all know is a bad word for bronzers. But I'm keeping it. I need to get more use out of it, try it out this summer again when my complexion's ever so slightly deeper, and just see if it's one that's going to work for me ever, or if I'm just gonna let it go. Coming in at number 17 is a little mini bronzer that I've never really loved, but never actually been able to part with for some reason. It's this little mini of the Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof Bronzer in the shade Park Ave Princess. I did a pan on it intentionally. I had it in a project at some point. I do think I would like to try and use this up this year in my 21 Pans in 2021 project, because it is getting old. I believe I got this in a Sephora like Bronze and Glow favorites kit in my first year of YouTube. So I'm working on 4 years this year. It's probably time to get moving on that. And then another one that I kind of put lower down, even though I do really like it, is partially because of the brand and just, you know, I don't know what it is. There's a few little things that I don't love about it either, and that is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer in the shade Sunset Striptease. This is actually a really beautiful bronzer. I do like the embossing, but that doesn't really mean much at all. It is a nice bronzer. One of the things that I like about it is that it's very buildable, as well as it has a subtle sheen to it. So it's really flattering, kind of natural looking, but without being shimmery or anything like that. So I do really like this one. I was tempted to pull it in this month for Shop My Stash. I ended up pulling in my Hourglass bronzer instead. Next, coming in at number 15 is my Kiko Milano Sicilian Notes Baked Bronzer in the shade Bronze Melange. And you do have to say it that way as well. It looks like this. It's sort of a marbled bronzer, and the thing I love about this, I don't know if you can really tell, it kind of looks rosy or reddish there. That's what I love about this bronzer. It has that perfect undertone for me that makes me look just on the edge of sunburny, like I got some good sun that day. The only reason I rate this down where I do, actually it's starting to fade, hallelujah. This is, or was, very strongly scented. And it's a good scent, but it was so strong that it would give me a headache sometime. The other reason I put this where I did is because the Kiko Milano basically puts out a collection, discontinues it, puts out a collection, discontinues it. And that was the case with this. Well, then recently I saw that they repackaged this shade, Bronze Melange, in a new packaging and were, you know, putting it out again. So I guess sometimes they do come full circle, but I like this bronzer. There's just a few things that made it not so perfect for me. Number 14 was kind of a surprise, and I don't even remember if I saw anybody using this bronzer, but I saw a lot of people using the highlighter in this line that they put out. So it's the Revlon Skin Lights Prismatic Bronzer. I have the shade Sun-Kissed Beam. This is, first of all, some of the most beautiful embossing and texture that I've ever seen, especially from a drugstore product. But the other thing is this is super duper smooth. It's a beautiful color, and it does have, I mean, it's not shimmery, it's just sheeny, luminous, and I just was so pleasantly surprised by this. I wasn't a big fan of the highlighter that I bought in this line, but I'm glad that I was able to find this bronzer that I do really like by way of the highlighter that really isn't working out for me. Number 13 is my e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in the shade Forever Sun-Kissed. I repurchased this. If you've been around for a while, you may have heard this story, so I apologize for that. But basically, I decluttered this to my stepmom originally. She wanted to try a bronzer, and I thought this one was perfectly user-friendly and, you know, nice and easy and buildable, things like that. Pretty hard to go overboard with, and I felt like I really didn't care for it, so I was happy to let it go and let it be used by someone else. But I still continuously hear people talking about how much they love this bronzer, which immediately makes me think, what's wrong with me that I don't like it? So I repurchased it. I do like it better now. I think tastes just changed, and you know what? All of us, every single one of us YouTubers is capable of making a knee-jerk reaction, decision, judgment on a product, and just, you know, move it on, move it out. So I think that's kind of what happened that one, but I do like it more than I did. Coming in at number 12 is the matte bronzer that I'm currently panning in my 21 pans in 2021 in collaboration with my girl Angela from Beauty and Life with Angela. I'll link her below. It is the bronze. It is the Balm Take Home the Bronze, and this is in the shade Oliver, which is my puppy's name. And I'm just trying to hit pan on this. I am definitely making some good progress here. I do like this bronzer. It is the powder bronzer that I layered over the Fenty one today, and it's just fine. It's a really nice tone, very forgiving, super duper user-friendly. If I had to recommend a more high-end user-friendly bronzer, this would probably be it, because it's not too, I mean, it's called the anti-orange bronzer for a reason. It's not orangey at all. It's very forgiving, blendable, etc. So I do really like that one. It's just not a favorite. Coming in at number 11 is my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I have the shade Bronzer, and I do love this stuff. As much as I wish I didn't, I do love the Butter Bronzer. I'm glad that this is a better shade for me than the previous shade that I had. Sorry, it's up here. It's a little harder to see, but this is extremely buildable, which I also love about it. I do love the smell on this. I don't know why I like this, and I didn't love the Kiko Milano. The Kiko Milano kind of smelled like an older men's cologne, and of course this smells like vacation. I do love this. I love how it looks on the skin. It's very hard to mess up or go overboard with this one, especially in the shade that I have it in. So I do like that one. Not a big fan of Physicians Formula at this moment in time, but you know, it is what it is. It's in my collection. At number 10 is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer. I have the shade 2, Sun-Kissed. I was gonna say Silky Matte. And this is a really nice bronzer. Again, I really love this tone. It's almost contour-like, but it's just warm enough that it works well for a bronzer. So I'm extremely excited about that. I'm always keen to find drugstore bronzers that I love. And I think it's going away, or my sniffer's broke currently, but this did have a light coconut scent when I purchased it. but I just think this is wonderful. Probably my favorite drugstore bronzer, or darn close. For number 9, an oldie but a goodie, and one that I would love to finish up this year, would be my number 7 Match Made bronzer in the shade Caramel. Have a huge pan in here. This, if I had to compare it to something formula-wise, is actually really similar to the Milano Silky Matte. But I do feel like this one from number 7 is luminous, a little bit luminous. It's not completely matte. This is it right here. And it's just a really nice color for me. And this was my very first bronzer. So I would like to use it up this year because I love it and because it is getting older. But it would be one that I would consider repurchasing once I used it up. Next, this might surprise some of you, but coming in at number 8 is my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. And I have the shade number 2, Medium. This bronzer is nice, but it's not special. As you can see, it's just a bronzer. There was no bells and whistles. The heavens didn't open for me or anything like this. It's just a ginormous pan of bronzer in a beautiful package. I'm not at all upset that I have it. I do like it and I do use it. It's just not, it didn't really necessarily knock my socks off, to be honest. Coming in at number 7 is a really interesting formula. It is the Nabla Skin Bronzing Sun-Kissed Effect Bronzing Powder in the shade Soft Revenge. This is another one kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Wand, where it looks very cool tone, but then once you start blending it, the warmth actually does come out, which you can probably see. It's a little cooler toned toward the center, but as you look toward the outside of the swatch, it gets warmer. And I do really like this. This is really, really beautiful on the skin. It has a very Hourglass, like the brand Hourglass, like quality to where it's luminous and makes your skin look natural and sun-kissed, but without any powderiness, no glitter or anything like that. It's just luminous. It's just good quality pigments and ingredients. So I do really love this one. Coming in at number 6 is a very fond favorite of mine, and it is the Jouer Sunswept Bronzer Duo. I have the medium to deep shades, which are Sun-Kissed and Sunset. Sun-Kissed, Sunset. I remember getting this recommendation from Samantha March, and it was a very good recommendation. I do love these shades. I do tend to use this one a little bit more, and especially like during the cooler months. But then as my skin starts to warm up a little bit naturally, I will mix these two together. So these are luminous, edging on shimmery. If you look at them in the pan, there is a bit of micro glitter there, but nothing I don't feel like that stays on the skin. But I do love this. I think, you know, 10 out of 10 on this beautiful sturdy metal packaging. Number 5, I actually had to be super duper honest with myself in being realistic about where I put this one in my collection, because it is legitimately a favorite. But then when stacked up against some others in my collection, it falls just shy of the top 3. But coming in at number 5 is my Marc Jacobs Omega Coconut Perfect Tan. And I have the shade 104 Tantastic. Yeah, good job, Kyra. Anyways, this is in the shade 104 Tantastic. You can see I have a nice dip going in mine. I love this. One of my favorites for sure in my collection, especially as a matte bronzer. I kept this out when we were moving and used this a whole ton. It was the one that I always reached for, and I just think it's really nice. And I have seen it pop up on sale in different places, including I know some people have found those at TJ Maxx. So if you're interested, keep your eyes peeled. Coming in at number 4, again, this is half about the packaging and half about the products in it. And that is my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. I've Had this for quite some time. I love both products in here. I really love this. I know it's called a contour shade, but again, it's one of those that's kind of neutral, and when you blend it out, you can see the warmth come through, and especially because I have a very warm skin tone, love this highlighter. It's soft, it's natural, it just is beautiful, and I love this sort of vanilla toned highlight, so easy pick for number 4. Coming in at number 3 is my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer. I have the shade Diffused Bronze Light, which doesn't look like much in the pan, but it is really and truly a beautiful bronzer on my skin tone. It looks very light here, but it's beautifully buildable, and I find that to be the case with all Hourglass like colored cheek products. I just like this one. I had a different shade previously and I didn't love that. It was not the right tone for my skin tone. However, my bestie is loving it and living her best life down the street here with that little Hourglass mini, and I am so happy. It's beautiful. It's pretty new to my collection, but I have gotten some use out of it, and it is in my Shop My Stash for March, so I'll be using it more. Another product that really surprised me in 2020 is my number 2 bronzer, and that is the Clinique Flower Pop Powder, no? Clinique Powder Pop Flower Bronzer. There's only one shade, which is stupid, but I do love this bronzer, and this is in the shade Solar Pop, and again, it is just so gorgeous. It has a beautiful luminosity without being shimmery. You can see that it once upon a time had a beautiful flower embossing. I just love this bronzer so much. It's remained a favorite well into this year from last year, and I just love it. I love the formula. It's very similar if you have any of their cheek pop blushes. And numero uno, I wonder if any of you have deduced which is number 1 based on, I know a lot of you know my collection pretty well, but if you haven't figured it out, or if you're new here, my number 1 favorite bronzer, regardless of price, brand, anything like that, is the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronze It. I hit pan on this in my 21 pans in 2021. This was my first pan that I hit of the year, and I just love this. I'm going to give you the spiel, but I'm going to give it to you fast. This is the fixer of bronzers. Too orange, put some of this over top. Not blended, put this over the top. Too matte, need to add a little luminosity to your skin, but do it lightly. This. This is such a beautiful bronzer. My girl Angela is working on finishing hers, and our project, what was that? My girl Angela is working on finishing hers and our project this year, and to be honest, I don't think I would have the heart to finish mine. Yes, I know I can repurchase it, but oh man, this is so good. I love this. I can get a really bronzy look, or I can keep it soft. Either way, it's going to make my skin look amazing, and I just love it. That is it. That is what I have for you today. That's a wrap, all that good jazz. I hope you guys are enjoying this ranking series. I'll have the playlist linked below for you in case you want to catch up on any videos you might have missed thus far. I think we are going to be ranking powder blush next. I wanted to do cream blush first for some reason, but there's a couple that I still need to test out that I acquired recently. So I'm going to push that one and do that one second. So the next video will be powder blush. And let me know below, what is your number 1 bronzer, or your top 3, or whatever you want to share, your least favorite bronzer. Do you have any of these? What are your thoughts? And thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me today. I always appreciate your time, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful, sun-kissed makeup days. And I will see you in my next video real soon.